Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Historical Lights Nightly Chat and Toast. Got with us our co-host, Brother Robert Marshall, and a very special guest tonight, Brother Robert Jackson. Hey, brother, if you mind, let you introduce yourself to everybody.
Evening. Robert Jackson, as Alex stated. I've been a Master Mason for 16 years, 14 years, 15 years, something like that. I am third generation Mason, fourth generation that I know of. I live outside of Boston, between Boston and Rhode Island. I belong to Montgomery Lodge, where I'm a past master. And I'm also a member at Ezekiel Bates Lodge, North Attleboro.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us this evening, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, so we got two Robs on the show tonight. Awesome.
Robert Square.
Yes.
Yeah. Very Masonic, yes.
Gotta be confused.
So, Brother Marshall, how's Waco today?
Good. I had a fellow craft come over to study here this afternoon, and he drove his luxury sedan further into my land than I thought he would. I thought he would just stay at the mailbox and wait for me, but he did not. And so the first half hour of our study session was just me pulling him out of the mud and trying to not damage his car. But it worked out. I'm covered in mud right now, but his car survived. So, and then we were able to get in our study session. So all is well here. I also have gotten about halfway through this book I picked up in the Seattle airport.
Nice.
It's called Life in a Medieval City by Francis Guise and Joseph Guise. They've written a couple of books on a similar topic. I said they have, but they did. They both passed away, but they were actual academics. And the gist of these books is pretty interesting. They try to get into the daily life of people in the medieval era, 13th century folks, and they cover some information on early trade guilds and corporations and some of the early operative Mason regulations. And it's interesting because I don't know how intentional it was on their part, but some of the stuff in their books gives hints to the breeding ground from which some of the fabric and foundation of Freemasonry sprang out of. Just some things that we would probably take for granted in terms of some of the language used in our early ritual, the obligations themselves, why they originally existed, that kind of stuff. It's been a good read.
Sounds like a
I highly
fantastic.
recommend it.
Good stuff. Well, Brother Jackson, how was this whole quarantine and stuff affecting you? So I know you're up right kind of in the center of all this, where all this madness really hit the States, at least.
Yeah, it's a little weird, especially with the some of the past rivalry between New York and Boston, and the states doing things for each other, right? I mean, of course, all of us got a real kick out around here of a lot of I think it was the N95 masks when they came in, the fact that they were delivered to New York City in a Patriots truck. So it was,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah, so there's some people having fun. But yeah, so there's some people having fun with it. But yeah, it's weird. So like one of the first companies where they were indicating a spread was at Biogen, which I used to work probably maybe 15 minutes away from there. And one of my friends down the street actually works for them now. And he was at the same conference when this person was at that got everybody infected. And he was on like self-quarantine long before anybody else was. And like they were locked down. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And I know we were chatting the other day. Unfortunately, because of all this mess, you haven't been able to take the full boat, have you? Just sitting there.
So My boat is in Rhode Island, the tiny little postage stamp of a state that it is, maybe 45 minutes away, and I can't go because if I go, I need to self quarantine for 14 days if I go into Rhode Island. Then when I come back, I have to self quarantine for 14 days. And where my boat is, it's not in the water yet, and the marinas closed all facilities. So I'd end up with 14 days with no kitchen and no bathroom. That could be challenging.
Yeah, to say the least. But I mean, you've got a scout's background. You could figure it out, right?
Yeah,
To the
yeah.
extreme.
That's been weird as well, right? I mean, because like in the fall we had this big issue with Triple E with mosquitoes, and so that ended up killing a couple of our campouts. And now in the spring, when more campouts are just shot right from March through the end of this school year.
And yeah, I mean, where this is all going to end, who knows? So it's craziness, crazy times we're living in. Hopefully soon we'll be able to look back and laugh at it all in a way. But where that end is at is kind of a uncertainty for sure, to say the least.
It's just cool. Just like it's cool to be kind. It's just it's nice to see the positive things happening, right? People taking care of each other.
Indeed. Yep.
Certainly
Fully.
don't see enough of that publicized, in my opinion, but I know it's happening. You can see it happening.
Yeah. Well, we've got a whole bunch of people joining in with us this evening. As every night, we definitely appreciate you guys sticking in with us and hopping on here every night, spending a few minutes with us. So if it's your first time with us tonight, seems like we've had a steady group of new guys showing up. We're doing this. The commitment was every night throughout the time of the quarantine. So we're hopping on here at 8:45 Central Standard Time, sharing a little bit of history, chatting with the brothers, and then end it off with a traditional 9 p.m. toast. So thank you all. We've got some familiar faces in here. Looks like Brother Maddox is with us again, Brother Barber, Brother Sean C. Boyd is with us here, Brother Mullen, Brother Drew. I just saw Brother Sepulveda hop in. It's great to see all of you guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. And of course, got my wife in here sharing it out. Really appreciate her doing that duty for us every night, helping the people see us throughout the different groups and all. I think Robert fell. That happens on lives. Fantastic. Well, we're about 5 minutes away from our toast, and Brother Jackson, I think, has some history to share with us this evening, so definitely looking forward to that.
So I've been debating what to share, right? Different things. And I was looking at some of the old books that I have because I have my father's cipher book. I think my grandfather's cipher book. I've got a cipher kit from a lodge in England, brother that I met through a completely unrelated group. But tonight, probably the things that are most near and dear to my heart are these two setting mauls. Well, this is one of them. And I'm sure you can't see the lettering because it's hard to read for me without going through a screen. But the one on my left hand here was presented to Worshipful Maitland Jackson, who is my grandfather. Master in 1971 for Scarsdale Lodge, presented to him by his son Robert M. Jackson, who is my father, which is this setting maul. Well, it's not him, but so they each received a setting maul from each other essentially after finishing the year in the East. And when I was in the East, every single time I was up there, these two setting mauls were on that pedestal right next to me. It was like the only way that I could have. I mean, my grandfather barely knew, but even my father, really the only way I could have him in lodge with me,
Very cool.
Yeah. Those are lovely, for sure. Do you know who made those?
I have no idea, to be honest. It was Scarsdale, New York, man. It could have been some tiny company from there years ago.
Wow, those things
are really, really nice.
Yeah.
They tie in with that early Masonic history I referenced just a few moments ago, because back in the day, your operative Masons typically would have been the sons of operative Masons who were the sons of operative Masons. It was just a hereditary trade back then. So
Yep.
you've carried that in with your speculative tools there.
Yep. Yeah, so they stay up in the bookshelf behind me, next to a few other things. And yeah, I've got my great grandfather's white apron as well.
Oh, awesome.
Fantastic, man. So do I. I was actually installed as master in my great grandfather's white apron.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I got it, I didn't know it existed. I got these, and I've shared them on the show before, but I got these little trinkets about 2 years after I joined Mason. One of them I created a shadow box out of my great grandfather's rings and such.
Yep.
And then in an envelope, it was all, I mean, it's folded up this small. I opened it up and holy crap, it's his white apron. So had to do some, careful ironing over some fabric and stuff, but it's framed. And when I got installed in the East, that's the only time I've taken it out of the frame. I actually wore it to get installed and then put it right back in that frame.
Wow.
It's just kind of a special moment,
That's
Never got to meet him in person, but to be able to share that bond, especially in that moment, I thought was pretty cool.
It's the connection, right? It's the connection that all of us have.
Yeah. That unspoken bond, man. It's just, yeah, something definitely special about it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are rolling up. We're 10 seconds away from 9 p.m. here. Brother Jackson was kind enough to come on this evening and offer up a toast for us. So I'm going to hand it over to you, brother, as I pour. I guess, first of all, before we do the toast, what are we toasting with? Brother Marshall, what you got down there?
I've got my standard Crystal Head vodka and used it as a base for a cocktail here in my copper mug.
Fantastic. And I'm gonna hand it off to you, so I'll go ahead and tell mine. I'm toasting back with the Craftsman's Apron Memento Mori glass again. In love with this thing. And I'm pulling a Right Worshipful Stoops this evening. I'm actually toasting with some sparkling water. So, what you got, Brother Jackson?
I have on my desk a bottle of Bushmills.
I love Bushmills. Which one is it?
I'm usually a McAllen's guy.
Very nice.
So I'm usually a McAllen's guy, but I ran out and I haven't come back to the store yet.
So Bushmills is your backup.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, what you got for a toast this evening, my brother?
Man.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I should have prepared this ahead of time, shouldn't I?
Hey, wing it.
To all the brothers, fathers, and sons, those that we may never meet, but those that we will always love.
Here, here, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.
Fantastic. Thank you, my brother. And most worshipful, Darren Kellerman actually just shot me a picture. Let me see if I can share screen real quick. I've got it scrunched down since I'm on the laptop. All right. Tell me when you guys can see that.
Starting.
All right, so that is actually, this is just a really powerful image. For me, at least. I shared this on the show before, I think even on one of the lives. So this is on the night that I was installed as master, actually wearing my great-grandfather's white apron there. Have the gavel that my wife presented to me that means a ton to me. Of course, standing there with my father-in-law, who is my Masonic father, my mentor. And behind us is Brother McClintock, who was a huge figure within our lodge's history that his picture is hung there since he passed away, and nobody in the lodge knew who the heck it was. So I was pretty proud to be able to bring that back to light and bring his history back to light of who exactly he was. So just to have all those wrapped up into one image is pretty powerful for me. I really like that. So thank you, Most Worshipful Kellerman, for shooting that over as a reminder.
That was awesome. I remember that picture. I saw that picture before.
Yeah. Yeah, it means a lot. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us yet again. Like we said, we're going to try to keep these up every night during this time of quarantine. So definitely keep us in mind and check us out, 8:45 Central Standard Time each night. Like we said, we'll share a little bit of history, chat with the brothers, and end it off with a toast. So what's better than that, right? So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, and take some time to save some history. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.